to the Draft Time Show on FLAVASRadio.com. Yeah, alright.
You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still like dust, I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? Just 'cause I walk as if I have oil wells pumping in my living room. Just like suns and like moons, with the certainty of tides, just like hope springing high, still I rise. Did you want to see me broken? Bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries. Does my sassiness upset you? Don't take it so hard just 'cause I laugh. As if I have gold mines digging in my own backyard. You can shoot me with your words. You can cut me with your lies. You can kill me with your hatefulness. But just like life, I'll rise. Does my sexiness offend you? Oh. Does it come as a surprise that I dance as if I have diamonds at the meeting of my thighs? Out of the huts of history's shame I rise. Up from a past rooted in pain I rise. A black ocean leaping and wide, welling and swelling, I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak miraculously clear, I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. I am the hope and the dream of the slave. And so, naturally, there I go rising.
Sweet sounds of LJ Reynolds there. And how are you all doing out there? How are you doing, world? All Flavors land. And yes, everyone out there, what is the date today, naturally, Lily?
23rd of February.
The 23rd of February, 2021. And it was a very beautiful day today.
It was lovely. It was nice and warm.
Yeah.
Well, I say warm. It's warmer than it has been.
Yeah. So it looks like hope is in sight.
Yes.
And spring is on its way, which is absolutely amazing because we love the spring. We love the summer. We love to be out there, you know, just getting in the fresh air, that fresh ass prana, and just being able to just be out and about.
Yes.
And we've also had some good news, we hope, this week regarding the whole lifting of things.
Can't speak.
Okay, don't speak. We will hope and pray too that we will be free at last. And as Maya Angelou just highlighted to us there, still I rise regardless of whatever happens.
Yeah.
We continue to rise.
Yeah.
We continue to do our best and we continue to elevate.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Definitely.
At the end of the day, nothing can keep us down, right?
No, we got to keep on going, keep on trudging forward.
Yes.
And just work with what we have, but make it work for us.
Yes,
yeah, make
absolutely.
It work for us.
I'm not even going to lie to you. I'm really tired tonight. I'm exhausted. I've been working just overtime, I think it is.
Yeah, you have.
And I think it's caught up with me a bit. So a little bit burnout, I'm afraid. But hey, it happens sometimes. But we just got to keep going, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Just have to keep going. So lots and lots on this evening.
Yes.
And we're talking black love. Love in general. I mean, love is love, right?
Love is love.
Yes, we're talking love. And did you know that in 1954... on this day, the first injections of the new polio vaccine were developed by Dr. Jonas Salk. And they were, I think it said they were delivered to a group of children from Arsenal Elementary School in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Wow.
So that's quite interesting, isn't it?
So they made history then, and we made history a couple of months ago.
Yeah. So that was in 1954, the first injections of the new polio vaccine, as well as on the 23rd of February in 1920, France handed over some colonies for war debts.
That's interesting.
To the United States of America.
I see Guadeloupe, Martinique, French Guiana.
So
that's interesting.
It is, isn't it? It says that because they had needed to pay off some war debts, that we spoke about it last
That's
week.
how you pay off debt. So here, I'll just have this country.
Yeah, it looks that way, doesn't it? It would seem that way.
Yeah.
And so they had a map was printed in a local Oklahoma newspaper indicating which territories the US may acquire.
Wow.
So you were just writing what you just said there, Lily.
Wow.
All right, well, we owe you this amount, take this, this and this. And what were the countries you just said them there?
So I see, well, there's quite a few, but I see Guadeloupe, Martinique, French Guiana. Great Britain received some land as well for similar reasons. They received French Somaliland and possibly Madagascar, it says. So there's not confirmation of that, but possibly Madagascar. And there's not a decision on who received the French Indochina. So there's like a space in between there that France had, and they've just given that away to someone.
So French Somaliland seems to be at the entrance of the Red Sea. So that must be, Red Sea is Egypt way, right?
It's, is that north?
Like north
I'm not even
west?
going to try and act like I know
where
these countries are.
But I've never heard of that place, French Somaliland.
I know, I've heard of Somaliland.
Sorry, yeah.
I've heard of Somaliland. But
well,
I'm assuming Somaliland is what used to be French Somaliland. Because they can't call it French Somaliland. Well, I guess they can, because you still call it French Guiana.
Interesting, though, isn't it? 23rd of February 1920, France had to hand over colonies for war debts. I mean, that's quite amazing. I really would love to know how they structure and run things, because when we think about it, we really are quite in the dark about it.
What do you mean? About what?
War debts. I didn't know that there was such a thing.
Well, there must be. Wars are expensive.
They are.
Okay. Me and Joanne have been watching The Crown.
Right.
And when Madam Thatcher was Prime Minister, she racked up a bill of over 3 million during that whole impoverished time to go and fight a war in the Falkland Islands against Argentina. That put our country in quite a detrimental situation.
I know one of our neighbours went to fight in that war.
Really?
Yeah, Barry went
Be
to
interesting
fight
to get his story on that.
Yeah, he had a rough time.
Yeah.
A very, very rough time. And I do recall that war, that whole Falklands war. But 3 million, I guess it was a lot back then. I mean,
That's
it's
a
not
lot
that
of
much
money.
now.
That's a lot of money, especially when you've got a country that's on poverty line.
And it's only a tiny, tiny island. So
But they're always fighting over it. They was fighting over it a couple of years ago. Was it 3 years ago they was fighting over the Falkland Islands again?
Wow. Well, there you go. So when you don't know, you don't know. But when you do know, you got to do something about it.
Do some research, yeah.
And likewise, last week we spoke about that, wasn't it? It was Chad.
Chad, yeah.
And again, the same thing, deployment of troops and stuff. So this stuff is going on all the time. It's going on all of the time. It's just a matter of just being aware and hoping that we are obviously all pawns in this bigger picture, this game that these governments play, but just being aware of it. Again, on this day, W.E.B. Du Bois, author, historian, he was born on the 23rd of February 1868.
Nice.
Do you know much about him?
I've heard Du Bois.
Yeah.
But no, I haven't heard much about Du Bois.
Yeah, he was his counterpart was Booker T. Washington.
Okay, I've heard of
They
Booker
were
T.
both going at the same time. They they got on at one point and then they fell out at another point because they both have differing views. I think Du Bois felt that through science that you could eradicate racial racism.
Yeah.
Whereas we know that's not true.
Through science. Why did he think that was?
I have no idea. You know, he just felt that it says in 1888 Du Bois graduated from Fisk and was accepted to Harvard. That was something that was quite interesting.
Yeah. That
back then that we were accepted into Harvard University. And it says he earned a master's degree, a doctorate, and then he went to study in Germany.
Wow.
And following his studies in Germany, he argued that through racial inequality and justice could be exposed through scientific research. So exposing, racial inequality and injustice through scientific research. I don't know how you would do that.
But he then said that after observing the remaining body parts of a man who was lynched, Du Bois was convinced that scientific research was not enough. So he wasn't convinced then.
Yeah, after the fact. Initially he felt that way, but then obviously seeing that this body or whatever, he changed his mind, you know. And
he argued that African Americans should become skilled in industrial and vocational trades so that they could open businesses and become self-reliant. Fully agree with that.
That was Booker T. Washington.
Yeah,
and
that's
totally
what
did.
Du Bois agreed with his philosophy.
Yeah, but in some ways they had differing opinions as well. But they were two very great men of that era, and they both done amazing things. Because Booker T. Washington, he opened up schools and done a lot for the black community. Because I think it's a book called Up From Slavery, and he was speaking when they come out that a lot of these slaves are going and buying pianos and really crazy things.
Yeah.
Yet they had no education. They didn't know how to make bricks. There was no kind of structure there. So Booker T. Washington said, no, this is. I want to do a school, and we're going to learn how to the basic skills. Although a lot of them would have known because they were the ones that were doing a lot of the work. But just really to hone in on their skills and become professional at what they did.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the discrepancy was between Du Bois and Booker T. Washington. But, you know, two great men in history, and it is Du Bois's birthday today.
And it's also someone else's birthday today, a very close friend of mine. I'd like to give a shout out to Angelina. Hope you're having a good day.
And it was Anisha's birthday yesterday. So thinking of you, Anisha.
February
had
is
a wonderful
full of
day.
Great people being born.
Absolutely. Lots of great people being born.
Yes.
So we've got lots to be getting on with tonight. And we're going to be looking in the relationship area, right?
Yes.
And when it comes to relationships, the questions that we are going to be asking you, I'm going to shout one question out to you now, is how do you make love last? All right, so we're going to see how we can make love last. And this was question come out because there was this article on this family. They were on TikTok. They're called the Pillow Fam.
Okay.
Have you heard of them before?
If I saw them, maybe I'd know who they are.
Okay, so they're doing lots on TikTok as a family.
Okay.
And I think they met about 10 years ago, and it's just shown the growth that they after 6 years. I think he proposed to her, and they've been married for a good while now, and they're doing very, very well. And they were speaking about black love. But as I said, love is love, but to a degree.
Yeah.
But black love. And we find it hard within maybe our society, our community, when it comes to black love, because we've had quite a hard start. Would you say?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that have contributed to. I don't think we have a hard time loving. I just think we have a hard time showing it. And I think there's a lot of different reasons why that may be the case. I think sometimes the way you've been raised might contribute to it. Just our history in general may contribute to the fact that a lot of people have find it challenging to show love.
Yeah.
Everyone tries to be hard and strong and independent, and I don't need no man and da, da, da. So I think in that sense,
what do the men say on that, on the
a
flip
bit.
side of that? Because a woman might say that, but what might a man say when it comes to black love? Because there must be a flip side.
What in the
from the man's perspective
of I don't need no woman.
Yeah, so a woman would say, "Oh no, I don't need a man."
Or I'm independent. Yeah.
Yeah, or yeah. But what would a man say?
Don't know.
Oh, guys, give us a shout. Let us know. Let us know. The lines are open. 07895 134 713. That's 07895 134 713. What does it take for love to last? We're throwing that out there to you because there are a lot of relationships. We're going to look at one just now. One of our favourite people. We've spoken about him a couple of times. And sadly, his relationship has broken down with his wife. Do you know, when I was doing the research, I was quite shocked to see that they'd only been together for 7 years.
But they haven't, though. I feel like they've been together a lot longer than that, but just publicly they've been married for 7 years. Because they've been together longer than 7 years. Okay. And they've been friends for a lot longer.
Oh, so it was a friendship.
Yeah, it was a friendship first. And then I think the public wanted the relationship. And that's, as usual, when you are living the celeb life, you're kind of forced to do what the public want you to do. And I do think many people thought it would last, but we just saw a deterioration of him over the last few years, to be honest.
So, beautiful people, if you don't know who we're speaking about, it is the one and only, the one that wanted to be president, Mr. Kanye West. Kanye. And yeah, that's quite sad, their situation, because I mean 7 years is a good one, and they always speak about that 7 year itch, don't they? And it is, I think it's true.
But actually, this is not 7 years. I actually think she was ready to divorce him a little while ago.
Right.
But because of his supposedly, in air quotes, because of his mental health, she put off separating, filing for a divorce, that kind of stuff. But obviously it's just gotten to the point now where she just, she's filed for divorce.
Yeah.
On Friday.
Oh, I wonder how that's affected him.
But it's supposedly a joint, that's an agreement they've come up together. It's like, oh, we've done our time. Yeah, that's fine. We're happy with prenups and no one's arguing over money and that kind of stuff.
Do you think they'd have had a prenup in place? They did, didn't they?
It says, yeah, neither is contesting the prenup in place.
Okay.
Negotiations have progressed and they are nearing a settlement.
Wow.
Because she came in the relationship with money.
Yeah.
He came in the relationship with money. They've not really built much together as a brand, to be honest. So...
But I mean, when you're going into it, I guess, in you saying that, just thinking quickly, Will and Jada, they're a brand, right? Would you say?
No, more Beyonce and Jay-Z are a brand.
Okay, so because I was trying to understand
because they have their own money.
Yeah.
And then they've come together and they've made, like, so they've got their albums together and stuff like that.
Okay.
Whereas Will and Jada, yeah, they are kind of a brand because we know them as Will and Jada, but they haven't really... They've done a couple films together and stuff.
Red Table Talks is like
but that's hers.
Thing. That's her thing.
That's her thing. He just was a guest on her show.
Okay. So, as a brand, then Kim and Kate.
I don't think they're much of a brand, to be honest.
And they have 3 children.
4.
They
have.
Oh yeah.
North, Saint, Psalm, and Chicago.
Wow.
I can't believe I remembered those guys. I must be a fan.
Wow.
Yeah. I know she gave birth to the first 2. And I think the second 2 were surrogates because her first 2 pregnancies were quite bad.
But with their eggs?
Yeah, they're her children.
Okay.
They're their children.
Wow.
But they had surrogates because she wasn't allowed to carry the second 2.
That's the hardest thing, isn't it? Now, when there's children in the picture and you have to separate.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll do a whole different show on that, on divorce and, you know.
I was reading something this morning, actually, on Instagram, and it's the same, like a marriage not marriage counsellor group, but whatever it is, and it was talking about, before you think of divorce, think of all the things that are affected by divorce, and one of the bigger things was children. And you see some of the things that are affected in the children's life, like their education, internal anger, that kind of stuff, because sometimes they feel, especially maybe the older child may feel guilty,
that it's their fault, or not understanding, and the younger ones might think they don't understand the reason why mummy and daddy aren't staying together. So that's a whole other. It's sad when things break down. But
that doesn't, because I was having this conversation with someone yesterday or today about the fact that just because you're in, yes, marriage does seem a bit more of a bubble, but even when you're in a long-term relationship and you have children, that's almost the same as a divorce or separation, because the children are still seeing a breakdown of the family unit.
It's still a separation at the end of the day, isn't it?
So it's quite it's traumatic, but I think it's actually traumatic for all parties.
What, children
husband, and the two people that are separating. But we're talking about black love here. I mean, obviously in I mean, let's just talk about love. We won't put a colour in front of it. Love is love. And you know, at the end of the day, it says that they weren't on the same page when it comes to their future. But surely before you settle down with someone, you speak about the future, no? Yeah, people say this, and over the years, I've actually learned it doesn't matter what you spoke about before you got married.
Right.
In my opinion.
It's just being in the here and the now, and if you're feeling a certain way.
Yeah, and even planning, like obviously COVID's shown us you can't really plan, but planning ahead, yes, it's great to plan and you should plan, but then saying, right, we're going to get married at this age and we're going to have 3 children by this age, and we're going to have a 5-bedroom double frontage with a drive and a garage by this age, and I'm going to be a professor at 35. Yeah, this is a conversation you have when you're 20, and then you look 10 years down the line. Was that foolishness, that conversation? No, it wasn't, but you've got to be realistic as well.
How is that not realistic? Within a relationship, how is that not realistic?
I'm not saying it's not realistic, but I'm saying you've had a conversation with your partner and said, this is what we're deciding on, what our future is going to be like, but you're not taking into consideration the pitfalls. It's like, I'm going to use the example of trading. You say, I'm going to make 5% a day, which means you make 25% a week, which means at the end of the month, you should make 100%. Yeah? No one takes into, and that's what they say, compounding. Oh yeah, in 30 days or 90 days you have £100 and you turn it into 8 grand. That's excellent. But have you taken into consideration the losses along the way? So it's better to say, yeah, make your 5% a day, but plan for 15% out of that. So at least you finish the month with 60%. Let's have a conversation as a couple. This is the direction we want to go in. Yes, we want children. Yes, we want a house. Yes, we want a good career. Pitfalls are going to come across along the way. Getting pregnant 6 months after getting married.
Yes,
with no, like, you know, that secure stability. That's not the plan. But things happen along the way, and you have to kind of, you've veered off of the main road. You're taking a back street. You just have to work on how to get back to the main road. But I think the problem with K&K is they were initially on that road together, they veered off, and then they just took 2 completely different back roads, and no one can come back central. They don't want to go in the same direction anymore. And
do you think it's saying here that it was that they ended up in crisis at the height of his erratic behaviour? But he was always erratic.
He's always been erratic, but I do think he's gotten worse over the years.
Do you think she knew what she was getting, or was it just after his mum passed away and then he got worse?
His mum passed away a while ago. Because she would have been there to support him during that. But I do think that with mental health we don't know the ins and outs of their relationship, or whether he was getting help for his mental health or what. But I don't think he's any more erratic than he was when they first started dating. When did he walk off the stage and refuse to perform? I'm sure that's before they got married.
I really don't know much about him, to be very fair.
He was supposed to be playing at an event, and I can't remember what happened, but he stormed off the stage.
Well, we have some guys in WhatsApp groups, and Pele highlights, he says, take your time and be patient with one another. That's one of the ways in how we can make love last. And Nyambi says, keep it new. And that's so true, isn't it? It is keeping it new. Do you think that they kept it new then, or they just...
Most probably not.
No, too busy.
Yeah.
He was too busy trying to be president, maybe. and not focusing on what's really important. It's funny because there's a book I'm reading at the moment. It's the Grant Cardone 10X Rule. And one of the points, very, very good book. And one of the points he makes is to prioritise. Our priorities are so important. And especially when it comes to family. So initially, like you just said there, you make your plans. And then when you're starting out, a lot of people don't have children. Some people do have children when they're starting out and so forth. So his daughter come along. And because he has such a busy schedule, they get up earlier. He takes her on his errands and does certain things. So that's a bit of quality time that he can spend with her. So it's the prioritising of things that really matter. So thank you, guys.
And there's a comment in the chat in response to your question, I think it is, from Jay. Hey, boo. Both couples need to be on the same page and understand exactly what that consists of. So obviously you're going to have differing ideas of certain things, but if you're generally on the same page and you are moving in the similar direction, you might not be on exact same direction, but in a similar direction, then I think you can.
So devil's advocate here. What if you've started out, they've come to the 7-year point, crossroads, they're not on the same page. So how can they, if they really wanted to, because, you know, back in the day, marriages did last long, but I guess some people were in unhappy marriages as well, or unhappy relationships. That could be one of the downsides. But what about working together to make it last?
We've spoken about this before, and I do think there comes a point in everybody's relationship where you're just not in agreement with things. And I do think that's normal. But I think you have to have that conversation, or many conversations during that period of time, where you can both kind of, like what Jay says, come to an understanding. That doesn't mean you have to agree with everything that I say. No. That doesn't mean you have to agree with everything that I do. That's boring as well. It means that we've had a conversation, we've sat down as a couple, and we've said, fine, you don't like this, I won't do that. I don't like this, you don't do that, and we'll do this together.
Thing is, in Kanye's West, he's got bipolar disorder. Yeah. So he's got an illness as well. So I totally understand what you're saying. We come to an agreement. But where he's ill, when you take your vows, because remember these guys are married, so they've taken vows. And it says one of those vows is in sickness and in health. So
that's if they said that vow.
True, because they take those vows. They change these things now. However, surely, if your spouse isn't well, you're not going to just drop the towel on them, right?
Yeah, but you have to understand the sickness. Remember we spoke about hidden illnesses. Bipolar is supposedly a hidden illness. You can be happy one day, erratic the next day. You can be, some people call it manic depressive, because you're just at two different ends of a spectrum one moment and then to the next. But if your partner doesn't understand that, then how can they support you and stick by you? It's like when I was going through postnatal depression. I asked my husband this the other day. I was like, did you actually understand what was happening? And he said, honestly, he said, no. You'd say one day, what's the matter? I don't know what's the matter. But you can't explain yourself, so the other person doesn't understand what you're going through. But the difference is, are they willing to help you go through that troublesome time? Is Kim the sort of person that's like, oh, he's just having his moment? Or is she one of those people that supports her husband?
Yeah.
Or is it just gotten too much to support?
I don't know, because we're not in their life. We're not. If we was on a fly on the wall, maybe we might know a bit more. But when the door's closed,
no one knows what happens behind closed doors.
And especially if you're a couple where your relationship is public, then that must make it even more hard. Same with Meghan and Harry at the moment. We're hearing a lot about their situation. When your life is in the limelight, then obviously, no, we don't know what's gone on. We don't know how much of at the end of the tether she might be. However, could it be saved? Could it be saved? Hold that thought, and we'll see you in 5.
We'll be right back after the break.
Auch in Deutschland hören wir All Flavors Radio, die beste Musik rund die Uhr.
All Flavors Radio plays what you want to hear when you want to hear it, 24/7.
Have you ever wondered what therapy is and how it can help with our mental well-being? To find out more, please join me every week on a Wednesday for the Wednesday Wellbeing Show, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. on All Flavors Radio with Darnell, the therapist.
Hi, I am Wimbo, and this is
Naturally Lily. Join us every Tuesday evening between 6 and 8 for the Drive Time Radio Show,
where we talk about things that are for us, by us, on current events and matters of the heart. AllFlavorsRadio.com.
See you in the chat room.
This is a very important health message. My name is Errol McKellar, MBE. I am a prostate cancer survivor and founder of the charity, the Errol McKellar Foundation. Do you know that over 47,000 men a year are diagnosed with prostate cancer? Do you also know that over 11,000 men also die of prostate cancer? That means that one man will die every 45 minutes. Do you also know that 1 in 8 European men will die of prostate cancer? But more frighteningly, that 1 in 4 Afro-Caribbean men will die of prostate cancer. But the truth is, prostate cancer doesn't care about your colour. Prostate cancer doesn't care about your wealth. Prostate cancer doesn't care about you. What prostate cancer will do, if you ignore it, it will kill you. At the Errol McKellar Foundation, our aims and mission is to talk with as many men and their partners as possible to ensure they are fully aware of the dangers posed by prostate cancer, recognizing potential symptoms and know about the available tests and information. We want to stop men from dying through ignorance and fear. For more details, please visit www.theerrolmckellarfoundation.com or email temf2018@gmail.com. Please remember that health is your wealth.
All Flavors Radio.
The best music from around the world.
Now, here comes the music.
High five, Doreen. It was the sounds of Mitch on Young, Something About You. So before the break we were speaking regarding relationships. We were talking about Kanye West and how him and his wife Kim will be separating after 7 years of marriage. And the question that we've posed for everyone today is, what does it take for love to last? And it's quite a funny kind of conversation there, isn't it, Lily? You're right there.
I am.
You are.
Having a bit of a moment. Oh, dear.
Yeah, so they're ending their marriage after 7 years. And we've had some feedback here. Sandra has stated, to make love last, communication is the key, and it's very important to talk to each other. I would agree with that. Would you not, Lily?
I would agree with that.
Yeah, definitely.
How can you have a relationship with someone that you don't talk to?
You'll be quite surprised, though. I think there was an article that I saw today, and obviously it was last year, the first lockdown, and there was a man that strangled his wife in the first week.
Sorry, it's not funny.
Yeah, he just went to trial. He got about 5 years or something.
5 years?
Yeah, this country, they don't really give out hefty...
Strangled her and she's alive?
No, she passed.
Oh, for
she
goodness
passed.
sake.
you know. Yeah. So, I mean, so in that instance, she obviously was driving him nuts. He was probably out
in just
working
a
all the time.
week.
In a week.
In just a week.
Yeah. Or during that period, I didn't go into depths of it, but I just saw the line, man that strangled his wife, and the first lockdown got 5 years.
That's nothing. That's ridiculous.
So communicating, maybe they wasn't communicating and he wasn't saying, woman, you just don't know. I mean, it isn't funny. No, we shouldn't laugh about it.
It's just the fact that, were they never at home together alone?
There was another couple that I read about, and in all the 20 years that they've been together, they had children, and they said bye to their kids. The kids went off and whatnot, and the first time they've ever spent so much time together in all the 20 years that they'd been together
was when the children left.
Was when the children had to go to their places. This is during this time. Children had to go to their homes. They were home with each other. And again, it was like War of the Roses. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so you're very right, Sandra, that communication is most definitely the key. She says she's been with her husband for nearly 26 years. Amazing. And we always make sure we listen to each other.
I'm not going to lie, it's really hard to listen sometimes, though.
Why? Why do you find it hard to listen?
Because I don't like being told when I'm wrong. I don't like being told no. I don't like being... I just don't like being disagreed with.
Why?
I don't know. I'm very precious in that sense. Like, if I want something to be done a certain way, I want something to be done a certain way. I'm quite like, no, it can be a bit much sometimes. I'm quite...
Yeah. You're too...
rigid.
Two sides of the whole. That's not true. You give 100, he gives 100. Yeah. However, like, it can't go your way all the time. I think I can be a bit like that sometimes as well. Yeah, but it can't go that way all the time because... And you're not going to grow as a person if you don't listen.
Well, yeah, obviously, this is true. But when you are in... So, like, this communication, I've learned over the last year and a bit has taught me that I wasn't the best communicator. Because I am that person that will just give you silent treatment, and I'm very stubborn. And I think it's taken time for me to learn that I want my voice heard, yes, but so does the other person.
Exactly. And
Still
I'm
doesn't
sure,
make it any easier.
I'm sure before you got married, this is going back to the honey. That's not the honeymoon stage, because the honeymoon stage only a year after you get married, and then the real serious work starts. But before that time, your courting phase, you took time to listen to him then, didn't you?
No.
Oh,
I've always been the same person. I'm surprised that you married now, because he knows I'm very difficult. Do you know what? I understand, Jay. I understand now. I know I'm a difficult person. I'm very, very stubborn. I see some of the similar traits coming out in my eldest. Yes, she's very like her mother. And it is when it's taken however many years for you to become this person, it's very, very hard to then not change, because you're never going to change, but to adapt.
Yeah.
And say, okay, I'm going to be quiet now and you talk, and I'm not going to respond, because that's my thing, is the response. I don't like when you have the last say. I must have the last say.
It's funny, I saw something recently, and it's a very true statement, that don't be quick to listen with a view to respond, but listen with a view to understand.
Yeah.
Okay, so when we listen with a view to understand, that means that we're going to be more attentive, and that we are going to pay attention to what that person has to say, because
and not just waiting to speak.
Yeah. Their word's valid, right?
Most of the time.
So Sandra, you are on the button tonight, girl. She said, "Be as long as you can talk to each other, and understand each other, you will be fine.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think it's talking and not getting upset about what the other person said, because I think that's another issue. When you're all good to talk, you can get as many words out, 1,000 words a minute, but then you're quick to take offence, or you're quick to take it to heart, or you get so worked up and upset about it that you do give the silent treatment and just be like, oh, fine, whatever.
Yeah.
Do what you want.
I think in any relationship, there will be teething problems initially, and you work through that and you get to know each other. You know, you get to know each other, and then you can work within the constraints. It's like people, maybe a woman might argue or get upset that the man leaves the toilet seat up. Okay? Now, or squeezes the middle of the toothpaste. That used to drive me crazy.
That is what maniacs do.
No, but that's how they squeeze the toothpaste.
No, it is not. You squeeze it from the bottom.
No, you squeeze it from the bottom.
In my house, you squeeze it from the bottom and you put the toilet lid down before you flush.
Yeah, you put the lid down. Yeah. I always put the lid down because, you know, the splash goes everywhere.
Ooh,
but
no,
that's
that's
what men do.
Maniacs.
Okay, but it's accepting these little flaws, because we have flaws as well as women.
Yeah,
we have plenty. They just don't highlight them to us. We tend to more highlight.
Yeah, we do
the issues.
We do.
What are your thoughts out there? 077 895 134 713. 07895 134 713.
Joy says, love lasts with acceptance of each other's personalities and agree to sometimes disagree, but be quick to lay aside differences.
Totally.
Yeah, you realise when they are not around. Yes, very true.
Yeah.
It's very true.
And Camilla highlights as well, Camilla, I cannot say that on air, my love. It's a very naughty word. And recreating.
Okay.
So you fill in the blank, okay? And she also said, be faithful, focus, energies at home, not having a wandering eye. And that is so true, isn't it? And making love, we're going to talk about that a little bit later, guys. But we're going to look at a psychologist's view of it, as well as when you do have coitus. We will refer to it as coitus because we know that there must be some young people around. You understand, hopefully, if not, Google help coitus, and just how after sometimes that you might feel pain in the sense of sadness,
feelings,
or emotional, and the reasons why we might feel that way. So these are some really, really great words of advice.
This last comment.
Yeah.
If two people honestly and earnestly want to love each other, then they will.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
If you want to make it work, then you will.
Yeah.
Because like you mentioned, that the elders of back in the day that got married at like 18. I remember an elderly lady in our meeting, and she'd met her husband at 18. I think he was 19. And they were married for 60 plus years. Like, how do you do this for 60 plus years? But it is back when they were having 9-10 children and having to manage a household, and yes, the woman was at home. I do think women working outside of the home sometimes brings its challenges with the independence and the confidence building and stuff like that. It makes them lip quick sometimes, but it was a different kind of solidarity between a husband and a wife. Like now that everyone wants to get involved in a relationship, and she ran into her friend and her friend's telling this, and everyone wants to contribute, and you always seem to have
like a negative connotation in the case of maybe friends, and that's the next question that we're asking you, beautiful Pete. Is a relationship supposed to be between you and the person you're with, not your mother, not your cousins or your friends? Your relationship, should it only be amongst yourself and your partner? That's the next. So how do we make love last? And should a relationship be between just you and the person that you're with. All right, because again, that can cause issues, can't it? You going outside of your relationship and just telling everyone your business.
But I think that's foolish, because then you might think your friend is your friend and they're green eye, and they're like, oh yeah, he doesn't do this and you should kick him to the curb, and you're getting advice from a single person and they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, Camilla says it's because back in the day we lived more like we were living in a village, totally, and there was less influence.
Yeah,
like when Hollywood started, I think that's when a lot of problems probably come on the scene, or this Hollywood romance, and frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn, and that kind of thing,
Yeah.
And we were looking for that romantic love, and that is part of it. That is part of it, but it's not all of it. And we want more of that romantic love, and not working on the other side of working and building.
Yeah.
On the relationship.
Yeah.
And that's where the breakdown comes in.
Because even, when people say, oh, the foundation wasn't strong in the beginning, I do feel like even back in the day when some of the elders got married, they didn't know each other for very long, and their courting period was quite short compared to, do you know what I mean? Compared to people of nowadays who are dating for however many years. Because one thing, they wanted to get quick nookie.
Yeah.
So they weren't doing that unless they were married. And then the other thing is that it was frowned upon if you were known to be in a relationship with someone for so long, and he hasn't proposed to you, honey, it's not happening, it's not working. And their relationships started off, in my opinion, on rockier foundations than a 3-year courtship. But somehow their standard of marriage meant something. Today, I know people are like, oh well, divorces are expensive. Yeah, but they're on the rise.
And marriage is more expensive if you don't think about what you're going into. And what Camilla highlights here as well, she said, it's because we had more values.
Yeah.
We did have more values, and things were sacred. You were going in it for the long haul. If we're doing this, it's going to last. I mean, they used to build things to last back in the day, but now things are made to break down. So you just go and buy something new, like how often do you upgrade your phone?
Every 2 years.
Right? Because they don't build things to last.
Yeah.
And relationships, really, and having examples like Kanye and Kim, say, for instance, the younger lot coming up, that's what they'll expect. Oh, well, 7 years and get divorced, because that's just the norm. But is it? Is that really the norm? So think about that, beautiful people, because at the end of the day, a relationship, regardless, marriage, I know people have long-term relationships now, but it's about putting in the work. And we know when we put the work in that we are going to most definitely get something out of it. Oh, we have a call coming in.
We have a caller.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi.
I always get mixed up because I hear the phone ringing and you say hello, and I'm thinking, have I called your number or have I called the radio station?
Yeah, you called
and
the
it's always
radio.
this delay because I'm listening to it and I'm thinking, I ain't heard the phone ring yet, and like 30 seconds have gone by.
Turn the radio down. You all right, Dee?
Yes, I'm okay, thank you.
Good.
Good show so far.
Thank you.
Very interesting. I think I've just forgotten what I was about to say. But I think it's based around, we say why relationships aren't working. Well, if we go back to before there was so much temptation. There's always been temptation, but temptation that adds in. With technology nowadays, you have more advertisement. Okay, there's less shame. People don't feel shame no more. Okay, so you can go onto social media. You can go onto most social media and see nakedness. Whereas during I'd say going back from the maybe early 90s backwards, people didn't advertise their bodies as much as they do now. Okay? So there's more display. So people have become braver. Okay? When our parents were growing up, or I wouldn't say our parents, maybe some parents and parents before their parents, okay, meeting somebody, it was valued. And there wasn't, the only time you were tempted is if there was something you might have passed or you might end up working with, say for instance. And if you look at how the workplace used to be, it wasn't as many women in the workplace. So a lot of men will get tempted by, when they're stressed at home, they won't come home, they will go from work, they'll either go to the bar or go to the local pub or whatever, okay, get a bit drunk and so on, and then or go to, like in America they might have a juke joint or something like that, and that's where you see you know, the strays there. So there was temptation there. Whereas nowadays,
it's all online,
because the workplace is so mixed, not being sexist, but because there are more females within the workplace. Think about it. When you go to work, especially in an office, okay, it was just last year or the year before that one lady won a court case about having to wear high heels into work.
Right.
Okay? So that chauvinistic, piggish kind of attitude that men have had within the workplace. So you're a woman, you come in and work in the workplace, you need to look sexy. Okay? So having that sexiness in the workplace will lead to temptation.
But what about the men being... Also, I understand what you're saying about things leading into temptation, but what about having a bit of self-control and not thinking, oh...
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Having a bit of self-control. But at the same time, it isn't just a matter... Listen, so most of the time, a lot of the time, some men, it takes a lot to get a man to actually break out and go for somebody. Whereas you do have a lot of men that's quite forward, but a lot of men, you might have a lot of men that's shy.
Yeah.
It takes two to tango.
True.
So when you say, as a man, you need to, like, for instance, no, if a woman's enticing, look, I mean, most programs, look, I can sit down and watch programs after programs, okay, and I sit down and I say, and I look at things and say, why do women always flatter themselves? Why do they always shake their ass to get, excuse my language, why do they always shake their butts so they can get a drink, or shake their chest? Or why is it that we have to go out there and entertain you? Why is what's below so important to that man? Because there's a lot of things that all we've known is that men are in control of everything. Men run the world, but men don't run the world. Men ruin the world.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But women entice it.
Okay. Well, we'll leave you with that thought. And we will see you. Thank you for your call, Dee. Thank you so much. And we'll continue that conversation after the break, all right? Thank you. See you soon.
Bye. Good show. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
In the world. AllFlavorsRadio.com is right here, right now.
Have you ever wondered what therapy is and how it can help with our mental well-being? To find out more, please join me every week on the Wednesday for the Wednesday Wellbeing Show, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. on All Flavors Radio with Darnell, the therapist.
To all quail lovers from around the world, come join DJ Naiji for 2 hours of solid quail music right across the genres: cadence music, zouk music, cordial music, lacomet, anything quail. It will be broadcast right here on All Flavors Radio with your host DJ Naiji with a short year show, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. GMT each and every Saturday. See you there.
Club Zouk mashup session with Ninja Man Lloyd. Thursdays 8 to 10, Sundays 10 to midnight. Zouk mashup session on All Flavors Radio.
All Flavors Radio is now looking for radio presenters. Email us at info@allflavorsradio.com.
Catch DJ Laro on Sundays with the Caribbean Party, 12 to 2, and the Vibe Show, Tuesdays 8 till 10 on All Flavors Radio.
Streaming live 24/7 playing your favorite artists.
Hi, this is Everton Blender, and it's all about the old Flavors Radio.
6 and 9, man, Bushman, and guess what? You got it locked to all flavors.
Bumper stereo. I say, come take a little winding up. Ayo, it's a girl calling XP, the Booyah Queen, straight out of Dominica. Bigging up All Flavors Radio. Keep it locked.
All Flavors Radio.
All the tune-in listeners, as well as the silent listeners out there, come and join us in the chat room. Come and join in on the chat. And we're going to just look into a couple more of those answers that we got earlier as regards to the relationships and how people feel when it comes to relationships in society, right, Lily?
Yeah.
And how to maintain love.
So, Gal said we live in a throwaway society. Very true. Pele Hoxton said, yes, it should be between you. So, in answer to your question, is a relationship between you and the person you're with. Yes, it should be between you and your partner. Once you trust each other, no one can get in between to break it up, which is very true. Gal says people don't fix relationships again.
Yeah.
And then Pele said, our parents stuck together through thick and thin.
Absolutely.
DJ Laro. Hi, DJ Laro. Zero tolerance these days between couples. Not much compromising. Very, very true.
Yeah, yeah.
And then Dwayne said, I think it applies to today's generation. Most guys have seen the mistakes of their grandparents and their parents and have learned to be smarter in their decision and approach to women. However, most women have also seen the same mistakes and have developed a mentality that all men are the same and no man is or will ever be good enough for them. And social media doesn't help in this.
It doesn't. And this is trouble. Society's changed so much. And even in the last 5 years, I don't know how social media's been around a lot longer, but then the influx, it's like everyone is pushed towards being online on these social platforms. And like Joy says there, fast food, fast cars, fast tongue, old timers fix it nowadays. Bin it, get another, bring back the romance. And it's very true. And it is like a meat market almost, like DiCarlo said, isn't it? You look online, women got all their bits out. And I love, it was Muhammad Ali when he was talking to his daughter, and he says, every diamond, you've got to dig deep for that. It's not on the surface. So you've got to dig deep to find them diamonds. And likewise with a woman, like, we don't have to have it all on show. It's not necessary. It's not, well, I don't think it's necessary to it's lovely to go out, be beautiful and present yourself. But these days, even the fabrics they use, like flimsy, it's, you know.
I do think that with social media, there is a picture perfect. Like, what people post is not a true reflection of them, how they feel. There's the very few people who will post how they feel, how they're, thinking, what they actually look like in that moment. Oh yeah, couples goals, but no one is actually posting what actual couples goals are. Do you know what I mean? And recently, some people have started being realist.
Yeah.
But I think the next generation is just lost, to be honest. I think my generation, we're still getting married, but we're the ones that will most probably think, oh, divorce is easy out. The generation before me, I think that was a bit of a breakdown as well, generation. Like Joanne said, you see the guys saw the mistakes that their parents made, so they're trying to rectify that situation, but the females have seen the same mistakes and they just think that men are trash.
And like DiCarlo said there as well, it's a matter of women are very independent. We done a show the other day about the lawyer, and she said she wanted a man, didn't she? As opposed to needing a man. She wanted to have someone. Whereas Halle Berry, she says, what makes you think I want a man? So we have the choice to make those decisions. However, when we do choose to perhaps go into a relationship with somebody, is it going to be lasting, or do you put your cards on the table and say, we'll see
how it goes?
Yeah,
I do agree with the working environment as well, because I think a lot of people laugh and joke about, that's my work husband and that's my work wife and stuff, and I see a lot at work, that people laugh and joke with people that they work with, but actually when you start getting close to people that you work with that aren't your partner, you build relationships with them, and sometimes those relationships can become situationships that you don't want to be in. And that's where I agree. I do think that the workplace has kind of not encouraged a challenge. It's posed a challenge to relationships, because you are in an office environment, for example, you are working quite closely with people who are maybe not of the same moral standing as you.
Yeah.
You may have morals, but that person might not have morals. And as much as you try and present that to other people, unless you are completely staunch and you're just like, I've just come to work, I don't talk to no one, I do my work.
And I mean, there's nothing wrong if I don't know if I'm shooting myself in the foot here, but there's nothing wrong with having a relationship with someone at work, okay? However, not someone if they're married at work, and vice versa.
You mean having a relationship with someone at work? Yeah. I don't see anything wrong with that.
People and you're connecting, that's fine.
But I think it's when you are a married person, and some people get married, they've been working in this workplace for such a long time, they've built relationships, they get married to someone that's out of the workplace, and they don't kind of create an additional boundary with those people in the workplace, because they've become so close and touchy-feely and playing around with them. They don't think that they have to act no different, but actually the moment you were in a relationship with that person, you should have acted differently. And I do think that's where a lot of, when you hear about the bosses that go off with the secretary and he's got a mistress and stuff like that, I do think that's because people in the workplace sometimes don't know how to create boundaries, and they feel like, I don't want to be rude, it's just a bit of banter, it's just a bit of joke.
But that's not creating a boundary though, if you're going off with your boss.
And no, but I'm saying it escalates to that point, doesn't it? It doesn't start off as you going off with a boss, but there has to be an escalation process. He's cute, but now I'm married, and then it's he's cute, he's just taking me out for dinner, and he's cute, we just went for a couple of drinks, and then a couple of drinks turns to, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it starts off somewhere, and then it can escalate. That's not saying you can't build relationships with people in the workplace, because you have to build relationships with people in the workplace, but it's just making sure that you can be confident in yourself to say, do you know what, I need to make sure these people know, I'll go out with you for a drink, but I'm not going to be the last person here with you.
Yeah, and then you've set that boundary.
Yeah. And
you know within yourself your motives behind why you do certain things.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we have to be, especially if we are in relationships. And I'm sure people such as Kanye, people such as Kim, that they must get a lot of attention from males, females, and that too cannot help in that instance, and then that will cause issues as well. But we know with Kanye it was his mental health and his erratic behaviour that's just drove her over the edge. But then in sickness and health, where does that come in? You see, it's that having that long-term kind of goal to make it long-term with your partner.
But you have to be strong to deal with someone that's not
absolutely.
Mentally strong. I think
that's true. You
really have to be strong.
So in saying that, I guess they've got 4 kids. So with the bedroom aspect of things, it worked out for them.
Twice
what?
Because 2 of the other children were conceived by them.
They did not have coitus, only twice, Alicia. No way.
You never know,
And we're looking at it's National Orgasm Day in July, but it was a very interesting article here, the 5 things sex therapists want people to know. And according to a 2017 study that was published in the Journal of Sex and Marital Therapy, 30% of American women, so this is American-based, again, Kanye and Kim are American-based, but we can, I guess, adapt it to ourselves, require stimulation in order to experience an orgasm. So we're talking about this National Orgasm Day, and it said compared to only 18% of women that need that penetration.
Wow, this is really...
It's quite deep. Sorry, guys.
Subject.
It's before the watershed. Do you remember the watershed?
Before the water, that don't exist anymore.
It doesn't exist anymore. But
I think...
And it said that 85% of men generally will reach that plateau. Whereas, I mean, 37% of women need that stimulation and only 18% of them need...
Is that, do you think those 18% of women fall into this category of why, about the people that are miserable afterwards?
I don't know, because I think that's more something to do with maybe feeling or fears of abandonment. And again, it's going back to the relationship, that possibly if the type of relationship that they're in, those are kind of two different subjects, because that one's highlighting about post-coital dysphoria and why it's normal to sometimes feel miserable after having relations.
I just think it's quite interesting that it says a recent study into a little understood phenomenon revealed that 46% of 230 female participants experienced post-coital dysphoria a few times, not just once, in the past month.
Wow.
Researchers found that the intimacy of relationships didn't affect this. So even though they were quite intimate in their relationship, they still felt depressed afterwards. That's quite shocking.
It's an organic and biological function that appears to be greater or lesser in some people and more in others. So it's all to do with a heightened emotional state of arousal. You know, and then it's a bit like coming down off of something. You're really high, you know.
Yeah, that's what it says.
And then, oh wow, and it could be disappointment that leads to it.
Yeah, she said it says that the scientist explained, Denise Knowles is the therapist and counsellor, and she explained that it comes down to the explosion of hormones, including endorphins, oxytocin, and prolactin.
Yeah,
so it's like coming down off a high.
Yeah, because come on, when you have relations, it's nice, isn't it? No, we're not going to lie here. We're all adults here, right? And maybe sometimes if you've not been taken to that euphoric place, you know, it's like, oh, where's you know.
Yeah, but that's different than being depressed after. These people are actually depressed. They're physically. It says that the where is it? Feel sad. Post-coital dysphoria, or tristus, is a term used to describe a feeling of tearful, sad, anxious, aggressive, agitated, or generally melancholic. Melancholy. Do you know what that brings to mind? Melancholy. That's sadness. Like sitting outside under a black cloud and it's pouring down with rain and there's thunder and lightning. Wow. That's not just being disappointed. That's not just being, oh yeah, it wasn't that much. That is like...
But it's as it says here, it's having relations. It's a hugely intimate act, right? And that because you have that orgasm, it does release lots of hormones.
Yeah.
Okay, so you feel great. You know, you're bonding. All that's going on, because don't forget that being intimate with somebody, it's more than just an action. This is why, again, having multiple.
That was
partners,
my next question.
Yeah, it's quite dangerous because you're taking on people's energies. All right, so all those hormones are being released. Okay, you get to your peak, and then you separate. That closeness is done. It's finished. You're not close anymore, and probably that is what brings about the sadness.
But that was my next question. How many of these women in this study and men in this study were in long-lasting relationships, or was it just, oh yeah, we've known each other for a couple of weeks or a couple of days?
Yeah, because
how many of those? What would be the difference, maybe, in the response?
And maybe this dysmorphia, is it called? dysphoria. So it's like coming down off of something.
Yeah.
When you're euphoric, you're quite high. Dysphoric is you brought down low. So it might be present in people that are addicts when it comes to sexual relations.
But it doesn't say that. And it says the Independent said it's not uncommon. That's what's amazing, shocking,
isn't it? So I guess you're riding that wave, and then it just becomes like just.
But then I do think it has. You know what you're saying about energies. It says that the hormone drop following the act, as you separate from the closeness that it brought about, a sense of sadness can follow. So it's like a break in the energies. It's like someone just cut.
And it's done. It's like, oh. And then you feel low again afterwards. What are your thoughts out there, beautiful people? We're talking about dysphoria when it comes to relations, and how some people can feel very sad and upset and even experience a sense of loss. Melancholy after having relationships with a partner. Now, I don't know, they've not really been fully divulged much in the sense of the kind of person that this might be. But, I mean, you're not going to tell us personally if you felt that way. But can we have that sense of sadness after relations with somebody? Or are we more ecstatic and just in that moment and, you know, quite happy to... What?
But I don't think that we could give that personal experience, because how are you going to know? How are you going to know? Oh, how many times have I had dysphoria? Like, how are you going to be able to? Oh yeah, last weekend I felt really melancholy. Like,
well, it's a condition which is quite interesting, because I've never heard of that before.
Gosh,
I've not heard of that before, and that's possibly why people do. I remember watching something that was a man, and he'd had quite a lot of partners, because he obviously wants to be feeling that euphoric all the time, and maybe that's one of the reasons why. Your thoughts out there, beautiful people. 07895 134 713. And in the chat, we've DiCarlo brought attention here. He says, act like a girl. Oh, sorry. He says, act like a man, you become that man. Act like a girl, you get stuffed. What do you mean by that, DiCarlo? This is a lot of women overdress when it comes to going to work.
Yeah, that's true.
And that will always draw attention. But should a woman not be able to be allowed to be who she wants to be at the end of the day?
No, it's not about that though.
Yeah?
You're coming into an office full of men. And this is not me condoning the actions of men. I have to always say this. This is not me condoning the actions of men. But you're coming into the office with a room full of men, all that male testosterone flying about the room, and you walk in with a tied up shirt with all your bosom hanging out, and a skirt that hugs every single curve. Even as a female, I'm going to look at them and be like, ooh, she's a bit nice, isn't it? Imagine all the men in that room. It's not fair.
It's not all the men. Maybe a percentage.
75% of those men. Even the gay men in that room are going to be like, oh, darling, you're a bit tasty. It's going to turn people's heads. It's not fair.
To kind of to say that will always draw attention.
It will always draw attention. And I think it's one of those things where even when you're...
Wow.
There's nothing wrong with having confidence in your body. There's nothing... You should have confidence in your body. You should have confidence in who you are as a person. But does that confidence sometimes come across as a bit insecure? I feel like sometimes it comes off as a bit insecure because you are drawing attention to yourself.
Yeah. I mean, but is she drawing attention to herself? DiCarlo says, remember, man chase, if you dress like prey, you get hunted. Yeah. But I don't know.
There is a simple answer that you are drawing attention to yourself.
In this day and age, that's just how they dress, though, isn't it?
Every time I scroll through my feed on Instagram and I see a woman, usually black women, shaking their bum in a camera, they're not doing that because they feel good. They're doing that because they're drawing attention to themselves.
But is that, like you said, lack of confidence?
No, these women got hella confidence, because you have to have confidence to be posting that for millions of people to see. But why do we have to take off all our clothes, oil down our body and shake our bum in front of a camera to feel validated? That's what I think it is. It's I need you to give me 3,000 likes so that I know I look good. But you know you look good. You don't have to post it online for everybody to see it. And I follow some other females online who are very elegant, very voluptuous, and you see it in the clothes. You can see their shape in the clothes that they wear, but they carry it with elegance.
Yeah. They
don't look trashy and trampy with it. They don't look like they're trying to get every man to turn his head.
But we spoke about this because female empowerment, right? Female empowerment. I think we spoke about this a while ago. And maybe they feel empowered that they can go out. And I'm not agreeing with it, because I have my set of standards and my morals and all that stuff. And me personally, no, I wouldn't do that. But again, in this day-free world that we live in, I say that in air quotes, a woman might feel that, and they might not even be interested in men and still be doing that. Which is true. But that same article that talks about dysphoria. Yeah. It says we live in a sex-obsessed world. We live in a sex-obsessed world. The most sexual beings are females. I'm sorry, a man is not a sexual being in that sense. That you can look at a woman and see her assets, and you can automatically attribute that to something sexual. Right. Because that's what with men, it's not really the same. Yeah. So why do it's all about enticement. It's all about you don't need to be doing that online. But they do. It's all about women empowerment. Yeah, it's great to have women empowerment, but there are other ways to feel empowered. Yeah. Like, for example, mums not being trampled for looking a hot mess online, and just being real and honest and saying, this is what I woke up to today, my house is a mess, but I brushed my hair. That's women empowerment. And then other women's coming along and saying, girl, you've done good, you got up, you sorted them kids out, you managed to get a lunch on for them. That's female empowerment. Not tearing down a woman for breastfeeding in a restaurant and being told, oh no, that's inappropriate, go and sit in the toilet. Or another woman saying, oh, well done, mum, don't feel ashamed for it. That is empowerment. So maybe we need to re-clarify then. But how would you do that? You said Love Island. Love Island. Oh gosh, you don't know what Love Island is, do you? I've kind of seen it. No, I don't. I've seen Love Island. These people coming out the sea with like bikinis on. Right. So what Uncle Booty is trying to say is that is the ideal. That is what people are aspiring to be like. They're the Instagrammers, they're the influencers, because that's what they're called, isn't it? Influencers that are influencing these younger, creating this new generation of, I know, it's scary, forgotten souls. Parents, how do you feel about this when we think about it? Okay, we're talking about relationships. And we've also spoken that we do live in a highly sex-craved world, where a lot of people have just showing off their body on social media. And is this right? How do you feel as parents bringing up young people in this day and age? We'll see you in 5. Okay, Lily. Wow. Unbelievable. It is like we've got about 10 minutes left. Oh my goodness. And the time is truly speeding along, as it always does every week in the studio. So what does Napoleon Hill say as regards to relationships? We're looking at relationships. What does it take for a relationship to last, as well as not Is it down to should we tell our business as a couple? Should it be just between the two of us, or should we let everyone know what's going on inside of our relationships as well?
Okay, so I'm going to answer that question
okay
in a moment.
Yeah.
Napoleon Hill says, one of the most common causes of failure is the habit of quitting. When one is overtaken by temporary defeat, every person is guilty of this mistake at one time or another. More than 500 of the most successful men in this country has ever known, told the author their greatest success came just one step beyond the point at which defeat had overtaken them. Failure is a trickster with a keen sense of irony and cunning. It takes great delight in tripping one when success is almost within reach. The reason I picked these two paragraphs was because we've been talking about Kim and Kay, and we don't know why they're getting divorced, but we can speculate. But we've also said that in this day and age, a lot of people just, Gal said it, this is a throwaway generation where some people don't see the need in working on the relationships that they have established. And it's true, when you fail at something, some people might think, oh, this marriage has failed.
Yeah.
What do you do to kind of learn from your failure in the marriage?
And there's nothing wrong in failing. I mean,
no.
And would you call it a failure if you had success up until a certain point, but you just couldn't manage anymore with each other? That could be the reasons why. You could turn around and you could try and fix it. That's another way that you can kind of overcome. Obviously, Kim and Kay, they're not in that. Kim Kardashian and Kanye West we're speaking about here, that they're not in that position. She can't handle his erratic behaviour, as obviously he's got bipolar, and that shouldn't be a reason to get divorced. But then again, they've got children, and maybe there could be a whole set of reasons why. It's not for us, like you said, it's not for us to speculate. But failure is really just a chance for us to get up, dust ourselves off and try again. It doesn't mean that we will never have something that's successful in the way we're talking about relationships here, and that relationships do break down, not just friendships break down, families break down, all this kind of thing. It does happen, but it doesn't mean that you can't go on and become successful in something. And I guess that's
because I'm specifically talking about in a relationship, when you get to that point where you think this is a failure, do you try and work past that? Oh, we don't communicate, we failed at our relationship. Well, maybe you've identified the reason why you failed, so start working on your communication. And this is what I mean. We get to the point in today's society, and social media blinds us from the truth and blah 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 blah, but when we're in our relationship, when we go into our home and we close the door, when we get to the point with our other half and we say, oh, this isn't working, well, do you do anything to restart the engine to try and get it working?
And as Joanne has said, there some couples divorce and get back together years later, and I have seen that. I've seen that happen. So there is hope for Kim and Kay, says there. But also, going back to what Camilla said, she said that where was it? Being faithful, focusing energies at home, and having those values. I can't remember where it is. It's not the point that I was looking for.
Focusing
but really,
energy at home, yes.
Do focus energy on at home, and things that are broken can be mended. As well. So you get to a point every so often, you get to 10 years, you think, oh yeah, well, I can manage this, and then you work through. And like you said, if there is a breakdown, then we speak about it, and that's what Sandra said at the top, isn't it? That communication is vital. That communication between the two, and sometimes, sadly, that ego is in the studio again, and it gets in the way, and that's where the whole breakdown comes, and then that's it, all over, because someone might have said something, and oh no, I'm not accepting that, and then that's it, it's done, it's finished. So at the end of the day, in a sense, ego out the way, communicate and work on the issues. And I'm sure, I mean, they must have loved each other at one point. It must have
But
been
this is the thing. I don't think everyone gets divorced because they fall out of love with each other. I think this is again speculation. But if she is gotten to the point where she can't handle his erratic behaviour, that's not her saying I just don't love you anymore. That's her saying maybe I love you so much I can't watch you destroy yourself and make a fool of yourself and go and do foolishness in front of the camera, and people aren't looking at it that you've got mental health. People are looking at it as, oh, that's Kanye again. Maybe it's that.
Wow, but surely she can overlook that.
No.
Why? Is it because she's Kim Kardashian?
She's Kim K, man. But I don't know. I just think sometimes maybe you just get to the end of your rope, because that could be painful. Watching your other half just completely destroy themselves.
Yeah, maybe
it's like someone being an addict. Yeah, being married to an addict. I cannot sit and watch you continue to kill yourself.
Yeah.
I can't. I cannot.
I like that you've taken it from that perspective, because seeing it that way, then you're seeing it from another angle.
Yeah.
And again, that's an amazing thing, that we can take things from many different perspectives, and there must be a valid reason as to why, because they were friends before, like you said.
Yeah.
They've gone and they've had 4 children, they've had 7 years of a relationship, but obviously it's broken down. We're talking about
almost 10. 2012 they started dating.
We're speaking today about how can we maintain love, how can we keep that love alive. And our listeners here, our beautiful chat room listeners, our lovely listeners out there, have highlighted that really it is a matter of communication. Is that a shout out to...
Shout out to my sister and my brother-in-law, have just brought a beautiful baby girl into the world. Congratulations. Another 23rd of February baby. Oh,
another great one to add to the list that we spoke of today, isn't
it? Another great.
So DJ Laro, I did do a little bit of research for you as regards to the St. Lucian beaches. Apparently in St. Lucia they had, was it a race course that was created, and in one of those instances they were going down to the beach and taking a lot of the sand from there. This is just a little side point, sorry guys, but I just done a bit of research for Laro, and they were taking a lot of the sand from there for the race course, and it has had a bit of a knock-on effect. The St. Lucians, this was back in 2018, I think, was one of the reasons why. And they say that there's natural forces, all right, that change a beach, but also human forces. So by removing the sand and other materials, it can have a knock-on effect on the environment. But as regards to them touching the beaches, I think it was in Vieux-Fort, is it? Vieux-Fort. It was down to a race course, and yeah, that's one of the reasons why they were going in there. And they noticed that there was shifts in the environment, the waves of the sea got rougher and all that kind of stuff. But it was down to a race course that was built in St. Lucia. So just thought I'd give you that little side point, Laro.
There you go, Laro.
And yeah, we've really come to the end of the evening. It's been lovely having you with us, beautiful people. Shout out again to all of the presenters and DJs on the show. Please check out the schedule and come in and join us. I mean, there's always a variety that they're throwing down in here, you know, and it's amazing to be a part of the community. So thanks for having us, guys. And Lily, yeah, I think it's that time really, just to say,
how do we sign off every show again?
How do we sign off? Guys, whatever you're doing out there, stay blessed, stay beautiful, and keep rising, as Maya Angelou said at the beginning. And we will see y'all on the other side. Take care.